Hello, everyone. Welcome to the hangover edition of Stone Soup post May, post 53rd anniversary special. Um, this is my hair of the dog, vitamin water that Molly's not here to drink. But actually, my real hair of the dog is Sprite Zero. Come to think of it, my indulgence is Sprite Zero, so that works out for me. So, taking a bit of a break, hoping to announce by tomorrow or Friday the next poet for June. I don't know if we're averaging two features a month moving forward or less, but we do still have a lot of people who we want to feature by the end of the year. The only thing stopping me is the fact that we might have to be starting up the the Boston Poetry Marathon organization very soon, and this will be my first time actually being an organizer of it, i.e., dealing with the mail and everything else, and dealing with a job, and dealing with Stone Soup, and dealing with all the other aspects of my personal life. So, and plus I might be the only one taking initiative to get it started. There's been a weird bit of silence on all ends, and I didn't want to be the first one to speak up because I only started being a co-organizer last year. So hopefully someone else will beat me to the email, but I figure if I don't hear by anyone by this Friday, things have got to be rented. It was around this time, June or July, that we had the space that we sent. I sent the check to the space last year for the spot in the Community Church of Boston. So hopefully there'll be announcements. Hopefully there'll be many emails, and that's that. So a lot of waiting and a lot of kicking back. That's what we're doing tonight with this double round robin, which is par for the course for any online gathering without a feature. And we have a bunch of people here tonight. So why don't I shut the fuck up and let's get started? I'm going to get started with Patricia Carrigan, who's been away from us for so long. She missed National Poetry Month. She missed Stone Soup Anniversary Month, but she's here with us now. So, and I didn't even have the courtesy to get a feature. Sorry, Patricia. Hopefully next week. Good to see you less busy this week.
Yeah, I'm not working, so anyway, I did the housework, so that's done. Just taking a break
Not
from everything.
working. The perfect kind of kicking back.
There's no Christmas tree here. John, no Christmas trees. They went out several months ago. Okay, gonna read a serious poem. Glass Roses, inspired by J.G. Ballard's The Garden of Time. You can't wake up and smell the roses when they've turned to glass, petals too showy, too insular, too inanimate to feel and understand the world outside your garden walls. You, like those fake petals, strut your sculptured, bod and gaudy plumage of deceased birds, wear diamonds faceted in blood and the silent screams of those who work to survive, not to live. Clothes studded in crystals scream, "Look at me," while another family moves to tent city. You admire an expensive bag crafted from ice, while the children of Gaza gather rainwater to drink. Your extravagance wears designer rose glasses and earbuds, not seeing or hearing the approaching mob, the working poor who fight to keep a ceiling over their heads, stretch shrinking dollars at supermarkets and elsewhere, and American healthcare won't care if they get sick. Raising the living wage still won't cut it when political parties make Pinocchio promises before changing hands after election day. You smile and pluck another rose, but life is not a TikTok moment because not all influences are about self-absorbance. You can't stymie time when time must move forward. Your garden is dying faster than ever, and you don't see that Gaia is crying while being engulfed in flames. We're waking up and taking to the streets, not accepting your bullshit and Hunger Games attitude, the brutality to quash our voices, the building of a new Gilead, the genocide of certain people by governmental decree. Soon you'll become calcified statues destined to overlook your destroyed garden, the crumbled walls of your fortress, while holding a broken glass of your once beautiful rose. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Patricia. You've been keeping busy. What do I want to put up next? Let us bring up next Mr. Robert Fleming, and let me get the permissions up for people to share their screens. The
Thank
permission is
you.
yours. Robert, you have the mic.
Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware, and I will be making an opportunity for the Stone Soup players to read from another one of the greatest love stories, Gone with the Wind. And I'm going to offer the first love scene in Gone with the Wind. The scene is between Ashley Wilkes and Scarlett O'Hara, happening at the beginning of the movie, where Scarlett declares her love for Ashley, and then upon his refusal, she slaps him. So I'm looking for two players, one to play Ashley Wilkes and the other to read Scarlett O'Hara, and I will put the script on the screen. We'll read about 2 pages from the original script, and I will read the stage directions. Could I get a volunteer to read for Scarlett? And a volunteer to read for Ashley?
No one's taken up.
I'll do it, Ashley.
Bill, would you like to read Scarlett for us? You're
Please say
muted,
yes.
Bill.
You can't see
Bill
some-
and I will reprise our love scene from some other movie. I can't remember which one, but
Bill,
Not
you're
her, I think
muted.
it was.
Bill, you're muted. You need to
I think he
unmute.
knows that.
What?
Okay.
I think he's fuck.
How
Yeah.
could you accuse me of such? What's the fancy word for that? What's the fancy word for what I'm doing?
What's a plain
Acting.
spoken phrase for get on with it?
it's frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I think, or either that or
Okay,
tomorrow's
so
another day.
I'm going to start the stage directions on top, and we can start. We're reading from the original script by the producer David Selznick. Scarlett, peeking out of the partly open door, she beckons him eagerly. So you would start, Bill, with as Scarlett.
So I would say, who are you hiding from in there?
No, you need to start a little higher up. Your first lines are Ashley, Ashley.
Oh, I see. So higher up. Ashley, Ashley.
Scarlett, who are you hiding from in there?
Scarlett takes him by the sleeve, pulls him into the room, closes the door.
What are you up to? Why aren't you upstairs resting like the other girls?
She shakes her head, unable to speak, still
Well,
with
what is
him
it?
amused, paternal air.
What is it, Scarlett?
Scarlett tries to speak as if she had something wonderful to tell him.
A secret?
Oh, Ashley. Up higher. Oh, Ashley, Ashley, I love you. I'm really hard.
Scarlett,
I do love you. I do. I love you.
Continue, Ash. Continue, Scarlet.
Okay. I say, oh, well, isn't it enough to have collected every other man's heart today? You've always had mine. You cut your tooth on it.
Oh, don't tease me now. Have I your heart, my darling? I love you. I love you.
You mustn't say such things. You'll hate me for hearing them.
Oh, oh, I could never hate you. Oh, and I know you must care about me because, oh, you do care, don't you?
Yes, I care.
Oh, can't we go away and forget that we've never had these things? But how can we do that? Don't you want to marry me?
I'm going to marry Melanie.
But you can't! Not if you care about me.
Oh, my dear, why must you make me say things that will hurt you? How can I make you understand? You're so young and unthinking. You don't know what marriage means.
You know, I know that I love you. I don't want to be your wife. You don't love Melanie.
She's like me, Scarlet. She's part of my blood, and we understand each other.
But you love me.
How can I help loving you? Yes, who have all the passions for life that I lack, but that kind of love isn't enough to make a successful marriage when two people are as different as we are. You see, Scarlet, you.
Well, why don't you say it, you fucking coward? You're afraid to marry me. You'd rather live with that silly little bitch fool who can't open her mouth except to say yes and no and raise a passive mealy-mouthed brat just like her.
You mustn't say things like that about Melanie.
Who are you to tell me I mustn't? You led me on. You made me believe you wanted to marry me.
Now, Scarlet, be fair. I never at any time.
You did. It's true. You did. And I'll hate you until I die. I can't think of anything bad enough to call you.
Lee extends a placating, soothing hand. She slaps him full across the face with all her strength. Horrified and grief-stricken, he stands a moment, stunned, then sadly bows and exits. Thank you. That was the first love scene from Gone with the Wind.
Bravo. Well done. That was a great love scene, Robert. Woo-hoo. Except I thought Ashley was a woman. I thought it was a lesbian thing the whole time. It was like, oh, it's a guy.
It's doing the emoji.
It can be,
You're
it can be
thinking of
whatever you
Ashley
want it to
The
be.
emojis are going across my screen.
You're thinking of
Gotta
Ashley
keep up with the
Madison.
Oh, God. Okay. Let's let's move on, shall we? Let's have Jan Rowe up next from
Oh.
Black Seed Writers and of course Stone Soup and many other ventures in life.
So this is a rough draft. It's hoisted on his own petard. Delay, delay, delay. No pay, no pay, no pay. Trump had a decade to pay. Nah, Trump and Stormy, 2006-7. Why delay and no pay until 2016? Your behavior's gotcha. When Trump unadvisedly opened another casino in Atlantic City, a second or third, he talked a couple into buying a bigger boat to carry people from the airport to his casinos, which closed. He also didn't pay the contractors, but he also didn't pay Deutsche Bank, all those suicides. He kind of taunted the bank, At that time, he was avoiding his Vietnam venereal disease. Well, anyway, now he's criticizing his own lawyers. I guess he's not getting his money worth. I mean, $238,000 a day for every day in February. How many lawsuits did he initiate? Thousands. Thank you. Just a little rough draft there. Jesus.
Thank you, Jan. And up next, let's welcome up one of our other friends down south, formerly of the Salem area, the North Shore, one of the former North Shore invaders, Now invading us from the other side of the Mason-Dixon line. Let's go. Let's welcome up Marianne Honecker.
Okay. This one is called Escaping Apollo. In my dream, your hand is around the back of my neck, and your mouth is approaching mine. The god Morpheus, the fashioner, rules dreams. From his name comes morph, to change. From somewhere off screen, stop. The voice comes from behind my head or maybe from my amygdala. Everything freezes. In Ovid's Metamorphosis, Apollo falls in love with Daphne, a nymph. She's not into him, but he pursues her anyway. She changes into a laurel tree to escape. In a dream, I can see your hand on the back of my head, but I can see your mouth from within my own eyes. It's a movie. It's happening to me. I'm inside and outside of myself. Apollo is a god of healing. Apollo is a god of music. Apollo loved Sinope, Bellina, and Castalia, all of whom refused him. Apollo is a god of rape. Outside of myself, I morphed. I stopped the reel. I want and don't want your lips. The fence rises like Baal. Bellina jumped into the sea. She is there still, alive in the tides as they take the land and give it back. I often visit the ocean. I saw Bellina there, and a tiny jellyfish, and the O-mouth of a stingray, and the teeth of a young shark. I watched her walk the moon's pearl path. In the web that all that is, there's a strong rope connecting you and me. I try to sever it, but will not fray. Castalia drowned herself in the spring at Delphi. Her ghost wafted into the nostrils of every priestess. They breathed her in and prophesied on the exhale. Apollo is the god of prophecy. When Apollo wintered elsewhere, he gave Delphi and the phantom of Castalia to his brother, the god of wine. I drink wine to call words out of me. Apollo is the god of poetry. At every turn, his golden ringlets, the spell of your voice. We need a river between us, full of outraged nymphs. There's never been a world where the rapist didn't win. When Zeus severed man from woman, and man from man, and woman from woman, Apollo healed their wounds. That's all.
Fuck, you've been on fire lately, Mary. Very nice. Let's bring us now to Mr. John Wesick.
Okay, well, you all know that phrase from Greek theater, Deus ex machina, where, they lower the gods onto the stage by a crane, and take the plot
A god
in a
from the machine. Yes.
yeah, yes. Well, this guy Brandon Sanderson has some YouTube videos on writing. He's writes a sword and sorcery stuff. I've never read his things, but I like some of his writing advice. And one of his buddies came up with this term Deus ex wrench when talking about like bad writing advice. And this is just inserting arbitrary conflict arbitrarily because somehow making watching people suffer adds conflict to the story and so makes it more entertaining. Um, and this is a fad, I think, in writing that I think has ruined TV and movies for me, certainly. So, anyway, here's a little short story called Notes on Fiction. What can I do for you today? The travel agent was tall and as skinny as his lapels and tie. I need to get away. A customer collapsed into the chair opposite the travel agent and ran a hand through his unkempt hair. Work is exhausting. The nation's going down the toilet, and my ex-wife's lawyer is a barracuda. Hey, that looks nice. He pointed to a poster of a sandstone cliff. Yes, it's part of all-included holiday. We throw you off a cliff, trap you without food and water for 5 days, and force you to cut off your arm with a Swiss Army knife to escape. Well, that doesn't sound like fun. Really? It's gotten great reviews. How about this? We'll arrest you for a murder you didn't commit and convict you on perjured testimony. You'll endure gang rapes and knifings in prison for 30 years before getting a chance to prove your innocence. The customer shook his head. Bit of nostalgia, perhaps. We'll locate the bully who beat you up in high school and let him wail on you for a few days. No. Fair enough. You're an intellectual who prefers something subtle. I have just the thing. We'll send you to a totalitarian society full of informers who will denounce you to the secret police for even the slightest deviation from the party line. No, how about having your wife cheat on you with a backstabbing business partner? A life-affirming battle with a terminal illness, perhaps? Couldn't you just send me to the beach? Sure, the travel agent said, but where's the fun in that? Notes on fiction.
Thank you, John. Excuse me. And now, wake up, Bill. Mr. Lewis,
Oh,
you're
it's
up.
my turn! Yay! Woo! Bravo, bro! Thank you, Chad. I was afraid that the whole day would go by and I would be left alone with nothing to do. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Wait a second. Can I make this happen? Okay. This should all work just the way I planned it. Your daddy's funny, Becca's new friend exclaimed. Becca looked at me, smiled, and went back to play. I was secretly ecstatic to think of this 9-year-old as being my daughter. Just to see her smile at the idea filled my heart with joy. I am in love. So that was a short dedication to the young lady there who, yeah, was important to my life. And I'd like to read one little story from my history. This is Kikuyu folktales. So I spent 1 year teaching high school in Kikuyu land before I went up north. And I thought it would be fun to read the stories that they tell. So these are the Kikuyu are the people who live right around Mount Kenya itself. So Nairobi, for example, is on the Aberdares coming up to Mount Kenya. So that's largely Kikuyu territory. Wanjiru, the beauty of the hills. Wanjiru was the most beautiful girl in all the 9 hills. She had milk-white teeth, which made men stop and look whenever Wanjiru laughed. Her laughter echoed and re-echoed in the 9 hills when Wanjiru and the other girls of the hills were teaching each other about their new friends. Many young men came to ask Wanjiru's hand in marriage, but Wanjiru would not accept any ugly man. She said all these men were not handsome enough for her. One day, a young man came to court Wanjiru. He was very handsome indeed. And when Wanjiru heard that he had come to ask for her in marriage, she loved him and was only too ready to accept him. Her parents had no objections because they admired this handsome young man, but no one knew that this handsome young man was actually an ogre in disguise. Marriage preparations went ahead. The young man brought the dowry and he had been given Wanjiru to take to his home. He looked very happy to have such a beautiful bride. Nobody escorted them because the young man said it was not necessary. He did not want his identity to be discovered. They were soon home and Wanjiru was happy to see so many people around. But on a second look, she found that these people were not people, but ogres. This made her very worried and wondered what her fate would be. Now, when she was told to go inside the hut that had been prepared for her, she refused, saying that she would sit outside the entrance because that is where brides are supposed to sit in her part of the country. Her husband gave her a stool and told her she could sit where she pleased. No one else took any interest in her. They displayed no emotion at the sight of the new bride, no dance or song. I shall surely be in great trouble unless I think quickly, for these ogres will certainly want to eat me. As she thought, she became more worried. All the young people she refused to marry came to mind. It would be a great shame when they learned that I married an ogre for his beauty. Oh, she stood, took the same path that they had followed from her home. And when her husband saw her and saw that she was going away, he followed, singing, "Beautiful Wanjiru, Srese, Srese, where do you go now? Srese, Srese, Wanjiru, come back. Not today, but tomorrow I will eat you." Wanjiru sang loud and long, "People of the 9 hills who sold me to an ogre that will eat me and my own father. You sold me to an ogre, and the ogre will eat me. Listen to the ogre sing." And the ogre sang and the girl sang, and for a long time they sang and sang until the ogre was very, very near. She climbed to the top of the highest tree. When the ogre saw he could not get a hold of the girl, he stood at the foot of the tree and continued his song, and she continued her song. And then her brother heard her sing, and he came. He was very angry, for they had sold Wanjiru in his absence, and to be duped by an ogre and giving away Wanjiru was an unforgivable sin. He scolded his father. "How could you and your people sell my sister in my absence? I swear by my mother's clothes that neither myself nor anyone else will ever sell Wanjiru again. Only your son will have the authority of selling your sister." And so it was like that when the time came for selling Wanjiru. The tale ends here. So, Kukuyu folk tales.
Thank you, Bill. And with that, I think we know where we're going next, or at least the next person I'm about to call knows where we're going next. We're going to him. Let's look at a little music interlude with Mr. Ethan Mackler.
Thank you.
You, Ethan, and we'll end out this part of the round robin with Mr. James Van Loy.
Hi, Chad.
Yeah, is
Hi,
everything all right?
everyone. Yep, I
Okay.
got it. So I have a piece here called Lesser Evilism. Such an absolute label as evil is not easily shrunk to a lesser form of moral calculus, tallying one horrendous act to another. No, evil comes at us when turned away and gets us in the back, and before we can turn in time, it has us exactly where it wants and wants and wants. Excruciating predicament of nutcase violation and also rational perpetration. Oh yes, perpetrators up and down and all around choose this or that, when this is a madman narcissist acting out, and that is calculated rational road to global world war. And I have a song here that kind of goes with this in a way. This is a Dutch song called Als alle grenzen open gaan, when all the borders are open. Als alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein, als geen muren meer bestaan, dan zal pas vrede zijn. Als alle mensen samen gaan van landen groot en klein, als mijn elkander leert verstaan, dan zal pas vrede zijn. Nog gaat de klok het vuur niet aan voor allerlaatste strijd. Nog gaat de klok het vuur niet aan, maar voor de hoogste tijd. Dat alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Dat blik en zwart elkaar verstaan, dan zal pas vrede zijn. Er wilt al eeuwig lang gepraat, geen mens die weet hoe lang. De wereld wacht nu op en dat de mensheid wordt zo bang. Als alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Als geen muren meer bestaan, dan zal pas vrede zijn. Als alle mensen samen gaan van landen groot en klein. Als mijn elkander leert verstaan, dan zal pas vrede zijn. And that's by Armand, who is this hippie Dutch songwriter who died a few years ago. And he's really quite an amazing character, Armand, who also wrote things like the Blumenkinder, okay, the flower children. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And thus ends the first round. So we're going to go to the second round, and our first person for the second round is the first person for the first round. The Randonator is not that complex. So we will go now to Patricia Kerrigan.
Hi, very good. One poem. Suicide. She took her own life because she had no value. Her mother would criticize her for bad grades and sloppy penmanship, even for not liking dolls and dresses. Her father needed extra comfort and told her to keep it quiet or else. Her hair, body, and clothes became a schoolyard joke, and the teacher hid behind blinders and earplugs. Her college degree, an expensive paper paid by a bank loan, a high price for not fitting in with company culture. She never did get that promotion. Her date slipped something into her drink. She woke up in an alley with clothes ripped, her vagina bleeding. The blame would be hers, not his. Her first miscarriage led to another and another. Or did the rumors of infertility make her feel less than a woman? Her husband grew tired of her, divorced her, took the boys and house as well. The job market more dismal after staying home to raise the kids. Her cancer ate her breasts and uterus. Still hungry, it spread to her intestines. Her attempts to rebuild her life backfired. Even her talents went away. Her only accomplishment was poverty. Her face, invisible since puberty, became a roadmap to nowhere, and love couldn't find her. Or did it forget her name? Her golden years, a list of losses to outnumber her age, but not the pills she had to take. The list could go on. The reason was hers, not ours. Her silent screams were real, and we never paid attention because suicide is a dirty word in an even dirtier world. Who are we to judge and toss the first stone when she is now free and no longer in pain? Thank you.
All right. And we go again to Mr. Robert Fleming.
Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. I currently am submitting for a visual poetry magazine competition called Sonic Boom. And I'm submitting 3 pieces. This is the first one. It's called Deer Disturbance. It's not hit and run to hit a deer. Removing a road fawn is a taking. Removing a reindeer is dinner. Deers have run-in hits too. A doe on a dashboard is a rain sacrifice. A buck charging over a car roof is reclaiming a field. A man half through a windshield is a rut. And about 6 months ago, I submitted to another magazine called Molecule, which publishes small text pieces like up to 50 words and visual work like on matches or on cigarette case. And I'm submitting 2 pieces that were rejected from that. This one is called The Marlboro Man Descendants. Our love burns till's lungs ash. And this one is called A Test of Pee. There were 2 other ones that were candidates for submitting, but I didn't submit. This first one is inspired by the movie From Here to Eternity, and it's From Here to Eternity. And then this last one is a bottle cap with love chills on it. It's called Separation. And some of my upcoming activities this Saturday at my local gay community center, we will be having a Pride art show, and one of my art pieces will be in the show. And throughout the month, several of the upcoming book publishers from Old Scratch Press will be having an event. Gabby Gilliam will be having a book launch, and I will be one of the readers at the event. And then another member will be having a live event, and I will be going there as her photographer for the event. And then for the magazine that I'm an editor for, we will be having a magazine launch June 22nd. So thank you for letting me share my submission for Sonic Boom and sharing some of my upcoming activities to support Old Scratch Press.
Thank you, Robert, and best of luck to you. Up next, we're going to bring back Jan Rowe if she's available.
Good job.
So I might be reading this tomorrow at some place in Union Square the Black Seed writers are going to. It's called Increased Rent, the Elephant in the Room. A while back, before expanded meditation and resting in the Lord Tuesdays 11 to 12, a traveler from Europe came into the sanctuary, admiring its beauty before meditation began. She mentioned a pen pal of decades in the area and was finally able to meet in person. However, her pen pal upon retirement had been forced from the city due to increased cost of housing. Could this happen to me? I was able to save money when rent was 30% of my income. Purchasing a home was within reach. Now my rent's closer to 50%. This changes things. What Trump paid daily for legal expenses in February is about equal to my whole life savings, about $238,000. So if I can't afford $3,000 to $4,000 a month rent, I'm in need of affordable housing. Sounds slightly undesirable. I find gateway cities definitely undesirable. Gateway Cities has built 4,000 units, renting 4,000 a month. Why then does Gateway Cities have the guts to ask the state for 57 million bucks this year and 30 million each year thereafter? Well, agreed, maybe it's an addiction. Now being forced further from the city for lower rent is confounded as cars are increasingly expensive. Even subprime auto loans blooming like the mortgages did, where Trump got the 175 million bucks from the guy who has illegally repossessed active service people's cars. So years ago, when a winter road closed the roads, nursing home workers could not get into work as car dependent. Roads closed. Too many people were stuck in wheelchairs in danger of skin breakdown to the bone, reminding me of George Thurgood of Delaware, His Bad to the Bone. So currently in New York, 70% of the real estate is bought all cash, no mortgages. Who has this kind of money? All the wrong people. Who keep too many of us arguing about migrants taking housing for the poor. Almost some people I know have some type of housing voucher or multiple roommates. Many young women not having kids. So, did incomes triple or quadruple like rents have tripled and quadrupled? Thank you.
Thank you. And Marianne Honecker is next.
This is called Not a Love Poem. If this is a love poem, it has forgotten everything that is true about you. I was a falling star. You crushed me under your shoes until all my embers went out. You had this power because of your beautiful white teeth. I was a June bug on a string to you, tethered by one leg. You enjoyed the light dazzling off my carapace. I lost that leg and stuttered free, lessened and crooked, but alive. You had this power because of the glory of your moonshot hair. I'm a vase you cracked with a hard slap. My water leaked out and my daisies died. I would count on those daisies, desperate, petal by petal. You always loved me not. You had this power because your salted words summoned mine. Your thin body was full of crackling energy. Near you I produced a spark. I was an ant under a magnifying glass. I wobbled and fell under the burns on my back. You had this power because of your hazel eyes. Your pupils would wax so black I could levitate up into your night like one does into a dream. By the time my feet found the ground again, you had forgotten me. Now I'll read another one. This is ABC Darien for MECFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. Element of no known cure. Bed is base camp for a failed war. Crumpled sheets, kicked covers. Dying daily, but not really. Every day I turn toward the light, finding only the darkness of my room. Growing into nothing and more nothing. Half moon and stars strangled by clouds. Eyes vacuous, without meaning. Jarred by the slightest sound, thoughts killed like deer on the road shoulder. Lanterns all burned down to blue. Murdered plans, murdered plans bloated in the ditch. Nothing comes to fruition. Nothing blooms. Old paths overgrown for want of my feet. Path from bed to kitchen where I walk now, quiet in this humming tomb of house. Razored down to the slivers, my life. Scored on a card of 3-day crashes to every one day I leave the house. Under the weight of it I am brittle, vexed, cracking in every joint, wondering my bed's landscape, exiled eyes and heaviest head, your peony face down in the driveway, zoned out, waiting for my stem to break. That's all.
Thank you, Mary. We're gonna give it over to John Wesick. And John, I hope if it's not too rude to ask, you started off with a story that wasn't published. Are you waiting to continue it once it gets published, or?
Yeah, that was last week. Yeah, probably once it gets published. I think it would be too hard to keep track of it when it's done sequentially this time.
Just wanted to know.
Yeah, but I'll let you know when it gets published, or if it gets published. I want to read Bukowski's big poem since you're talking about him, and I'm gonna skip some of the poem and just get to what I think is the good stuff. The weather is hot on the back of my watch, which is down at Finkelstein's, who is gifted with 3 balls but no heart. And I remember once on the bum in Texas, I watched a crow blast. 100 farmers with 100 shotguns jerking off the sky with a giant penis of hate. And the crows came down half dead, half living, and they clubbed them to death to save their shells. But they ran out of shells before they ran out of crows. And the crows came back and walked around the pellets and stuck out their tongues and mourned their dead and elected new leaders, and then all at once flew home to fuck to fill the gap. You can only kill what shouldn't be there, and Finkelstein should be there, and my watch, and maybe myself, and I realize that if the poems are bad, they're supposed to be bad, and if they're good, they are likewise supposed to be. Although there is a minor fight to be fought, but still I am sad because I was in this small town, somewhere in the Badlands, way off course, not even wanting to be there, $2 in my wallet, and a farmer turned to me and asked me what time it was, and I wouldn't tell him. And later they gathered them up for burning as if they were no better than dung with feathers and a little gasoline. And from the bottom of one pile, a not quite dead crow smiled at me. It was 4:35 p.m. Charles Bukowski.
Nicely done. Up next, Mr. Bill Lewis.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Chadford. And of course, we've got to try this stuff because it's there. We can't try it, not experiment with this stuff. Siri, write me a poem in the style of Bukowski. The rain hisses on the cracked asphalt, a symphony for drunks and strays. Neon flickers through the bar window, casting long shadows on faces etched with yesterday. Whiskey sloshes in a chipped glass, cheap ice clinking a lonely tune. A woman with eyes like faded photographs, drag a cigarette, smoke curling like regrets. Wow. I don't know. Siri is going to beat all of us at this point. I'm getting scared. So instead,
Siri's going to become a poet laureate.
I tell you, did that sound like a Bukowski sort of poem? Wow, that is scary. Well, the hell with Bukowski. The hell with all of it.
I want to read a little bit. As you know, I am James Madison. I put on a nice costume and I go out and talk about history. And I want to read a little bit from a book that my valet wrote. So here it is, A Colored Man's Reminiscences of James Madison by Paul Jennings. This is Paul Jennings right here. And I thought this was particularly fun. On the 24th of August, 1814, the British reached Bladensburg, and the fight began between 11 and 12. Even that very morning, General Armstrong assured Mrs. Madison there was no danger. The president, with General Armstrong and the others, rode out on horseback to Bladensburg to see how things looked. Mrs. Madison ordered dinner to be ready at 3 as usual. I set the table myself, brought up the ale, cider, and wine, and placed them in the coolers, as all the cabinet and several military gentlemen, strangers were expected. While waiting just about 3, as Suki, the house servant, was lolling out of a chamber window, James Smith, a free colored man, who had accompanied Mr. Madison to Bladensburg, galloped up to the house, waving his hat, cried, "Clear out, clear out! General Armstrong has ordered a retreat." All was then confusion. Mrs. Madison ordered her carriage, and passing through the dining room, caught what silver she could, and climbed into her old-fashioned ridicule, and jumped in the chariot with her servant called Suki, and off they went. Some more details, but I particularly like the part here where we were blowing things up. Where are we blowing things up? I just missed it. Oh, I'm sorry, I just lost the blowing up part. I wanted to tell you all the stuff that blew up, but the hell with blowing up. We will talk about peace instead. When the news of peace arrived, we were crazy with joy. Miss Sally Coles, a cousin of Mrs. Madison, and afterwards wife of Admiral Stevenson, came down the stairs crying, "Peace, peace," and told John Freeman, the butler, to serve out wine liberally to the servants and others. I played the President's March on the violin. Jean Susset and some others were drunk for 2 days, and such a joyful time was never seen in Washington. Mr. Madison and all his cabinet were pleased as any, but did not show their joy in this matter. So there it is, the burning of Washington by the British, and our hero who escapes with the painting of George Washington, which hung up in the White House, and with a copy, not the real one, but a copy of the Gilbert Stuart painting of George Washington. That he's the guy who helped get it down. So this is how things happened.
Very good, Bill. And now, already ready to go. Back to you, Mr. Ethan Macklin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan. For the record, I don't know if anyone else had any problems hearing him the first round. I was having issues, and it seems to have corrected itself because I'm getting used to learning about my computer. One of the reasons I didn't want to buy Windows 11 and anything too modern right just yet was because of all the AI. And I found out during Ethan's first set where I had a hard time hearing it, I had it placed on it was automatically selected for me, AI noise reduction. So that's a little tip for anyone who is using a new computer. Just watch the AI shit. It's
Well, the Zoom has that noise reduction kind of as a default anyway, so that often
yeah, so
messes.
maybe I was giving it double jeopardy. I don't know. But moving forward, won't be any
Wait,
problems. And after what's that?
were there any audio problems on anyone else's end?
I heard you just fine, Ethan.
All right.
Okay, that's good. Then hopefully the whole prime recording is good. But I'm just like, how come I can't hear him? I took that out, and you came in as clear as you ever have. I'm liking the computer's soundboard so far, and I don't need a damn mic anymore. So that's a plus. And with that, I will shut up and we'll go to our closer for the second and final round robin, Mr. James Van Looy. Check out his column. It's all one thing tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Oddball Magazine.
There you go.
Okay. So I have a poem here called Cosmological Genealogy. The blinking, flashing light beetles, glowworm fireflies that we call them, send their semaphore lightning signals at precise intervals to draw their mates to them, and their brightness is enhanced by the lack of street lights down below the long ramp up to the bridge that will go across the trail in a tunnel through that goes over us into the cemetery far away, the darkest place in the city. And is exactly there, those glimmers, shimmer, a resemblance to everything rushing away from everything. Strands of galaxy are drawn in by black hole gravity at the centers of whirling spirals. The farther back in time we look with our infrared lenses, the farther we see it, as if through our own generations, with everything moving away from everything else, more connected than ever and ever, all apparent from common epicenter and disappearing into the cosmic pool of this nothingness, ourselves absorbed into the cosmos that just flickers away in the night. And here's the song to go with it. Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. Got my bag, I got my reservation. Spent each time I could afford, like a child in wild anticipation. Long to hear that all aboard. 7, that's the time we leave at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that leads me back. Never thought my heart could be this yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a sentimental journey, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey home.
Excuse me, coughing. Thank you so much, James, and thanks to everyone who stuck it out for National Poetry Month and Stone Soup's 53rd anniversary month to be here tonight. We'll have more announcements for the months of June, July, and August. The more I nip those in the bud and get them set, the better, I'm sure. And the more I can help out with the Boston Poetry Marathon, which, if you are local or could be for 1 or 2 days, will take place in a weekend in August at the Community Church of Boston down in Copley Square. And I am just one cog in the co-organizers. So I don't know what say I have and what happens, who goes, who plays. There's no open mic. It's actually slots pre-filled with over 100 poets. Some right here in New England, some coming from out of New England, from New York and elsewhere, or Philadelphia, because they used to be in Boston for either education or because they lived here and then moved away. And it's ever rotating cast, and we're always trying to improve ourselves and be as inclusive as we can. I hope we can continue that. More announcements will be coming, and can't wait to give you them. So with as I seemingly Amari walking into the sunset, even though it's already I think set over here, I bid you all farewell with my invisible hand. Well, this is weird. And raised hand, very cute. And thank you all very much for coming here tonight. More announcements will be coming, and all this AI is reminding me to, if you're interested, if you have anything related to the variable wasteland, there's the Facebook algorithm, the online algorithm, the search engine, the video of yours on TikTok that only got like 2 views, then you should submit to Stone's Throw. The new theme is going to be simply titled Unalive the Algorithm. And anyone who's been on TikTok more than a couple of times probably knows why it's called Unalive. If anyone's interested, I already have a couple of submissions on hand. David House, who did the art for the last issue of Stone's Throw, is on board for doing another cover. And you guys are welcome to submit. And hopefully tomorrow I'll have some more calls for submissions. If you look back in the last couple of weeks, we've been there are a lot of new submission calls for the month of June, and more will be linked on Stone Soup probably hopefully around 4 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you guys very much. And we'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you guys for your support and enjoy yourselves this evening. Your show's over. We see you next time.